I am really looking forward to this game because I don't feel like I've got a good grasp on what we're going to see. You've got a brand new quarterback who literally glass half full, glass half empty. You can spin it this way. You can say, ooh, 56 touchdown passes, man, and now he's got talent around him. Or you can say, ooh, 24 interceptions, and now he's got more talent on the defense going against him. You got an offensive line that's got all kinds of new guys starting, even though some of them are transferring in that were good. We just said the same thing about Lance Hurd last year, and that didn't work out great. That we said about Wendell Moore here. You never know with these guys. You look at receiver, none of those guys proved themselves, as Josh mentioned earlier. I can't think of a game where I've gone into it with less knowledge of what I'm going to see since Josh Heupel's debut. And we knew, okay, he runs this up-tempo offense, but we hadn't seen it in the orange and white. So it was, okay, we got to get a feel for it. How fast is it? That kind of stuff. Has there been another game between then and now that had more question marks that were going to be answered? I mean, I look at even Ohio State last year. It's like, well, you didn't know how Ohio State was going to be into it. You didn't know who was going to play for Tennessee. That's a little different. You knew Ohio State was going to be really good. Yeah. You knew Tennessee was a pretty good football team. I don't know about this one. Can you think of another game? Is this the biggest, holy smokes, we're going to find some stuff out, Chuck?
Yes, I think so. Just because there's so much newness across the board, especially offense, that we've talked about, over and over, just because it's true. There's a lot of similarities to Tennessee and Syracuse, naming a transfer quarterback that seemed to be the guy.
They both lost the exact same stuff on offense.
Syracuse bringing in 5 transfers, offensive line. But you go down the line, I mean, even both of them have new special teams coaches, which could be a factor before we see. But, yeah, I mean, how can you, especially with Jermod McCoy out, don't know about when he'll be back. Will Brooks back there at safety, who's going to fill that kind of void. So, yeah, I think it is. And last year, didn't we think NC State, they weren't as good as advertised? Right. Maybe a little. That would be the one that would come the closest, especially based on ranking. But that proved to be, paper tiger.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think it is.
And then you throw in that they've supposedly been tweaking the offense. Don't really know exactly what those tweaks are going to be. Over the past couple of years, they've ran a lot more 2 tight end sets, okay? Because your receivers haven't been proven. Do you go even harder in that direction? So you got the personnel questions, and then you don't really know what they're going to come out there and run. I think you got a decent idea, but they've changed some things.
That's the key. The new offensive system and the fact that the players have talked about the new offense left and right. Most of us over the summer thinking new offensive line, freshman right tackle, new quarterback. They're not going to be able to go tempo. It'll be what it looked like last year. And then to hear them last week talk about getting used to the tempo, especially Joey Aguilar, because Appalachian State snapped the ball with 25 seconds left in the play clock most plays. Appalachian State went at a faster tempo than Tennessee last year. So when Aguilar talks about getting used to the tempo that Tennessee's at, I don't know if Tennessee's going to run back at snapping the ball 30 seconds in the play clock again.
And if you talk to Kevin Simon, which we did on the Sports Source Digital Network, he's like, you're not going to go tempo if you're not getting the big plays. So maybe they're counting on the big plays, and it's going to come back with Joey Aguilar. It's certainly possible. We showed you a few weeks ago on this show. The throws that he makes that Nico didn't, deep left and deep right. His completion percentage isn't as good as Nico, but those deep balls down the left and right, okay, you hit one of those extra a game, you've changed your offense. But
maybe
I don't know.
they all can't get used to going so slow.
That's it. But Josh, this new offense, I just don't trust that Josh Heupel is going to chuck out his offense. So what does new offense mean? Are we going to throw in some pistol? Is that what we're talking about?
Levels concept like Levy did at Ole Miss.
What's it going to be?
Yeah, that's why I think that, yes, to answer your question, this is the most unknown since the start when Josh Heupel arrived. I think 2023 is comparable because at that point the defense had not taken the jump where we've seen the last couple of seasons. So we were wondering, okay, can this defense improve? There was a different kind of intrigue about Joe. We knew about his physical tools. Was that going to blossom into an elite offense while they had to replace Hendon and Jalen Hyatt, the Biletnikoff Award winner? And it didn't really in terms of the ceiling that had been reached.
Because they changed the rule and said you couldn't play with an orange.
Right, yes.
They let him throw an orange.
Yeah, it would have been unstoppable, honestly. So, but I would still say Joe stepping back in doesn't compare to a quarterback arriving 2.5 months ago and taking over the offense.
Yeah. I will say this. If Josh Heupel, he got a team to 11-2, right? He got a team last year to the playoffs at 10-2. Considering all the newcomers, considering the Boo Carter stuff in the offseason, considering the Nico thing, if he holds this all together and he gets to 9-3, where does that rank in terms of the jobs he's done? Because you're not going to put it ahead of a playoff, I don't guess, that he got there with the defense last year.
Right.
It's
But
up
this is
there,
an
right?
incredibly young
Yeah.
team. If he gets to 9-3,
I would say it's his second best, but I would
Right.
put it ahead of last year. I would. I mean, he got to the playoff, but a lot of that's your schedule because schedules aren't necessarily equal anymore. But you had talent last year, and you've lost depth on the defensive side of the football in that front seven that does not exist this year.
Well, and we're talking about the holes, the question marks on the offensive line. We're not even talking about the depth of
Yep.
the offensive line.
Right.
That's just the first wave of guys. So, yeah, I think if he does manage to get to 9-3, which everybody's going to be kind of, oh, ho-hum, that's not great, but it's okay. If he gets to 9-3, that's a heck of a coaching job because there are a lot of, I can tell you this, there's not a coach in the country who would want to say, yes, it's the spring game. I hope my quarterback leaves in a
guy's
surprise
gone.
move. Nobody wants that.
Yeah, especially if the offense is as good or better compared to last year with the changes that we're talking about. If he's able to get that out of it this year,
Yeah.
then that would rank very high.
All right.
No, if
Hey,
he does that, I think that makes him a top 7, 8, 9 coach in the country if he can do what Josh just
Maybe
said.
top 10.
let me give you another possible top newcomer. Depending on what this offense does this year, he's an analyst, but Seth Littrell, however he pronounces it, that's a guy who we may look back and say, oh, you brought in this new guy and some of these things got tweaked. Now, maybe that's him, maybe it's not him,
Yeah.
but that's one guy who is a difference over there that we'll have to look back at the year's end and say, I wonder if he was behind this or that.
I loved what he did at Oklahoma. I loved the way he tweaked what Jeff Levy did as the OC. They just couldn't block. And if you can't block, you can't run anything. If you have the mid-90s Cowboys offensive line, you could run the eye all day long. But they couldn't block it. They had a quarterback that couldn't run it. They would change his tempo depending on what Brent Venables wanted from his defense. But I loved, it was kind of almost a cross between what Heupel does and what Al Borges did with Auburn in like 2004 with some of that Gulf Coast stuff. And I absolutely loved it.
That's so we were talking about players and we did that segment, but I didn't throw out coaches. So this was a good way to cover that back up.